Farm for Profit Podcast. Take a listen, have a blast. Farm for Profit Podcast. Learn about farming while having a laugh. Farm for Profit Podcast.
Here we are, Commodity Classic 2025. This is Tanner with Farm for Profit, and we're going to talk about what's working in agriculture, especially in a year to where margins may appear to be tighter, especially as we get ready to plan out our nitrogen applications. Andrew Luzum here, familiar face to you listeners on Farm for Profit with Corteva. Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about what you do again. Remind those that maybe didn't listen last time.
Yeah, so I'm basically a nitrogen management specialist. So I cover N-Serve and Instinct for all of southern Iowa and about a third of the state of Illinois.
And you're here in Denver.
I made my way to Denver, yeah.
We both are seeing if we can get back to snowy Iowa at the end of the show.
Yeah, hopefully.
But after the snow comes planting season, and after planting, we have to take care of our crop when it grows. We're going to talk nitrogen stabilizers.
Yep.
Why is this even something we talk about in regards to spring applications?
Yeah, so even when we sell fall nitrogen or we apply fall nitrogen, we like to say we're using that stabilizer for the spring. That nitrification process is a biological process, and the warmer the soil temps, the faster that process occurs. So the rule of thumb is 70-degree soil temps is 9 days. So even when we're talking spring applications, you look at last year, the month of March warmed up last year.
It did.
And we've actually been kind of following the same soil temperature trend this year already again. And you look at this year, nitrogen is probably one of the most expensive per acre costs we have. Guys are going to be spending upwards of $100 an acre pretty easy. So it makes a lot of sense when we talk ROI and why we use these products, because we want to keep that nitrogen in the root zone as long as we can so the corn can utilize it. And by doing that, we usually add about 8 bushels in spring and about 5 bushels of sidedress.
It just kind of dawned on me, but one of the common threads that we've heard from listeners that have come up to talk to us and hung out is there's a lot of delayed decision making happening. And that's something that I believe we're going to see a lot more side dressing done, because that's a way to make sure you're using the most efficient use of your nitrogen.
It's an efficient way to use it. I would say the challenge this year is delayed decision making. Nitrogen is not getting cheaper. So I would still recommend that maybe you at least purchase that nitrogen ahead of time. Yep. But yeah, the cost of money has been driving a lot of those decisions this year, no doubt.
And that is interesting when you think about the entire scope of the conversations you and I've had and the other team members of yours in regards to nitrogen stabilizers, because we have to make sure those resources are there for our crops when we need them.
Oh, 100%. Like I said, sidedress is by far the most optimum time frame to make sure that what you're putting out there is going to get taken up in the plant. But that's when we even talk stabilizers. We've seen a really consistent, like 85% win rate with a half rate of Instinct with those sidedress applications. Usually you're getting a return of $5 or 5 bushels. I don't know about you, but if I'm making about a $6 investment and getting about 20 back, I'd go to that casino every day of the week. Absolutely.
Now remind our listeners the difference between Instinct and NXTGEN.
Yeah, so Instinct is NXTGEN, or Instinct NXTGEN is a formulation. Yeah, fair enough. What it is though, it's an encapsulated version of nitropyrin versus like N-Serve is not. So what that allows us to do is be surface stable. So guys can apply it with UAN, urea, and manure as well.
Yeah, because our listeners are familiar with N-Serve. N-Serve is a technology that's been utilized and part of
50 years next year.
Next year?
Yeah.
We need to throw a birthday party.
A big one, yeah.
We should.
Yeah. At your place?
I will host it. Yes,
okay.
The N-Serve birthday party at Farm Profit Studios.
I'm in.
That would be a lot of fun. And now, as you guys plan for this year, I know you talked about all the research that's gone in the past. What's the plan for this spring for continuing to push the envelope?
Yeah, so we continually always push the envelope and do a pile of strip trials. We'll be doing a pile of them again across the Midwest. The biggest thing is this, right? When we spray a herbicide, it's fun because everybody watches weeds die or hopefully die, right? Yep. You see it happen, but nobody sticks their head below the soil when we're actually talking nitrogen management. So that's why we continue to do all these strip trials across the Midwest. We've got a pile of fall ones out again this year, a lot of manure ones, but we'll also be putting more out this spring in sidedress as well, so we continually get to show that data set.
That's good, and I'm sure that's things that farmers that are at this show are really appreciative of, is the amount of effort that you put in to make sure that the data you provide and the product that you provide are at the top quality.
At 100%. And with that data, we also get to be, giving timely updates with our customers as well. Like, I saw last year, we watched March warm up, conversions started to happen to hopefully educate guys of like, hey, if you're side dressing, what rates should we be looking at? This is what we're seeing from nitrate tests, and helping making educated decisions, not just guessing at what we're throwing out there.
Iowa got a lot of rain too.
A pile of rain.
Not only did it warm up, but we also got really
a pile
saturated.
Of rain. Yep.
So as you've had conversations here at this trade show, what have you been hearing the most from everybody that came by the booth?
Nitrogen management's been a big one just because nitrogen's expensive, and they want to talk about, we didn't get a lot of fall applications done last year either. It was dry, it was hot, and we finally got a little moisture, and then it froze, right? So been in a lot of discussions around spring nitrogen and what are we going to do this spring and how to, best management strategies. Clearly, there's a lot of NCGA winners here, so everybody's been talking high yield and how do we get there and best nitrogen management to do that. So that's been a lot of what we've been talking about here at Commodity.
Those have got to be fun conversations. Anytime I could compare the high yield contest to those like professional athletes. Those are at the top of their game. Those are some of the best fields across the nation.
And I think what's exciting about a lot of those guys, you're talking 350 bushel corn, and they're not using more than 7/10 of a pound of nitrogen to get there. They're efficient with it, which is a lot of that.
Yeah, it is. Well, I appreciate you and the efficiency of your time that you provided our listeners and all the information. But if they want to dive in a little bit deeper on what you can do for nitrogen stabilizers, how do they do that?
Yeah, just go to nitrogenstabilizers.com and you'll find everything we have to offer with Corteva.
Awesome. It's always a pleasure.
Likewise. Thank you.